Greetings and salutations, my fellow gamers. My name's AFarCryAway, and today we're talking about Ready or Not. So Void Interactive have released dev blog number 3, called Going Dynamic. This dev blog has a lot of stuff in it, and I figured we would talk about it today. Now, I know there's a lot of other YouTubers out there who have already gone into all of this information already. I'm sure a lot of you guys watching this might have already seen those, and I know I might be repeating a few things, but I really want to just bring my own spin on this information and let you guys know how I really feel about it, because I think I have a few points of interest I want to hit that might be a bit different than what other people are talking about. So in this update, we get to see new animations, room clearing, how the AI actually interacts in gunfights, as well as your friendly AI with room clearing. We also get to see reload animations, and how you can see how much ammo you have left, roughly, in your magazine, as well as, you know, reloading with one in the chamber, all that kind of cool stuff. They go into really good depth on how their performance capture stuff is going and their motion capture systems. They've also introduced like scanning technology to scan people and things into the game, which is really neato. As you can see, they've posted a picture where they've actually scanned people who I guess volunteered their bodies into the game. Now, I'm assuming for body pile reasons, because if you know Ready or Not, and you've seen some of the trailers, you'll know that there's a lot of graphic content in this game. I mean, I'm pretty sure that there's going to be scenes in which we see a lot of dead bodies piled on top of each other and really horrific things. So that's kind of cool, like the amount of detail that's going into something even as minor as that, just to increase the atmosphere. But another really neat thing about their new animation system is that they're kind of taking notes from Killing Floor 2. Now, you know me, guys, I'm a Killing Floor 2 channel, so I have to be interested when they mention Killing Floor 2. They say, our animations have been improved drastically. The team is aiming to make the game world feel even more real with a variety of new artistic features. On the first-person front, every animation is created at 240 FPS, and the weapon models have been rigged so that they loosely shake and jolt in the appropriate locations during gunfire. This is inspired heavily by Killing Floor 2 and their first-person animations. So, as you guys know, in Killing Floor 2, they did a similar technique with their weapon animations in which they captured them at a very, very high frame rate, so that way you could see a lot more of those tiny little minutiae in the guns rattling and whatnot once it's fired. And those things would be pronounced even more when you slowed it down in slow-mo. They also go in to say we've also introduced some procedural animations into our workflow. For example, our animations are layered with a randomized node-based system, which creates a very realistic and very unpredictable method of shake when an officer fires rapidly. These can be adjusted based on the weapon, its weight, and what attachments have been placed on it, as well as officer condition. Now, if I'm going to go into some speculation, I'm assuming that the more heavier weapons, assault rifles and shotguns, are going to have slightly different, methods of shake when you're firing them rapidly. Of course, that's pretty much true for any modern FPS game. However, I do think it's interesting when they bring up the attachments the weapons have placed on them. For example, let's say you have an MP5. It's not the heaviest weapon in the world. It's not like super duper light, but it's not heavy. Now you place, I don't know, an ACOG scope on it and it puts a little bit of weight on it, or like any kind of thing that you could put on a gun. Now it's gonna not make a huge difference, but maybe if there was like a, I don't know, 0.2% increase of wobble or something with every attachment you added, I think that's just a neat little attention to detail that would make the weapon feel slightly different based on each thing that you've placed on it. And they also say that officer condition plays into this, so I assume if you've been hit, your aim is going to be a lot more shaky, especially if you got location damage, which I think they said in an earlier update that they planned on having location-based damage. So if you get hit in the arm, for example, that's really going to screw up your aim. They go on and say third-person animations have received similar treatment, with a series of hit reactions being added for the SWAT, suspect, and civilians alike. This is based entirely upon where the subject is shot, so this also includes death animations, which are currently works in progress. As you guys can see in the gameplay footage, they do have some footage of the death animations, and I really like them because they aren't over dramatic like something in Battlefield or Call of Duty. When somebody gets hit in these games, and Ready or Not at least, it seems a lot more like they get hit, they slump over, they react to where they've been hit, and then if they've been hit too many times, that's when they completely go limp. I really think that's a cool attention to detail. That's the kind of attention to detail that's going to make this game feel like a next generation kind of shooter, and I'm really, hyped for this. I just get so sick of playing games where somebody takes a round and they just fly, you know? It makes sense with certain weapons. If you get hit with a, I don't know, 50 caliber round, of course you're going to explode. But, you know, even some of the heavier 7.62 and all those kind of rounds, I could see how those can really whip somebody back. But we're talking about a SWAT-based video game here, where people are using 9mm a lot and things like that. So I'm assuming in this game we're going to have a lot more lower calibered weapons, which is going to mean when you hit the suspects, they're not going to just go like flying back into things. They're more going to react to it the way somebody might react to it. Like, I've never seen anyone be hit with a 9mm, but I can just assume it's not going to be like getting hit with a truck or anything, or like a 357 Magnum. There's also a lot of particle density in this game. You can see a couple of examples where they're firing weapons off, and you'll see a lot of dirt particles and things being thrown from the wall and the ceiling alike. I think that's really cool. However, it has me a bit worried about game optimization. Those kind of details are wonderful, but I have this feeling like it's not going to run very well, and you might have to kind of scale things like that back down on lower end systems. And while we're on the weapons still, let's go ahead and just talk about that reload system. They say in the update, the importance of expanding our reload system became clear to the combat in Ready or Not. Players can still swap mags by pressing the reload key, but now also have the ability to perform a quick reload by double tapping the same key. This will quickly eject the mag to the floor and allows players to quickly resume combat in the event that they can't afford to waste time replacing magazines in their kit. This reload technique is a lot faster by about 35 to 60%, and the dropped magazines can be reclaimed once combat has ceased. That's really cool. On top of this, players can hold R to check their magazine capacity as well as ammo type. The magazines will accurately show ammo quality and type, as well as providing a prompt with the weight of the magazine, whether it feels empty, feels light, feels full, etc. Now I've got to say, I really love the minimalistic HUD approach that they're bringing to this game. The ability to hold the mag and feel if it's, you know, half full, half empty, all that kind of stuff, feels light. I really like that. There was a game, I think, that came out on the 360. It was one of the launch games. It was the King Kong video game. I remember one of the coolest new features of that game was the fact that when you had a weapon, your character would say out loud when he checked his ammo how much he thought he had left. You know, he's like, oh, okay, magazine feels half full, half empty. Or like, oh, I see I only got like 3 shots left in this revolver. That kind of stuff. I've always loved that. And it feels so much more realistic, and it gets you so much more immersed in the game. Just that small detail. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the artificial intelligence. Now, as we saw in some of the gameplay clips, he's having a shootout in the hallway, and the guy rolls behind a box and takes cover. You'll also notice that the friendly SWAT officers behind you are taking cover as well, and using cover to their advantage to line up clean lines of fire on the enemy, all that good stuff. They say in the update, for the last year we've been writing suspect and SWAT AI that will challenge the player and act realistically. Our suspect AI can be surprisingly spontaneous and very lethal. For example, failure to restrain a suspect may result in them getting up when the SWAT are no longer around and finding something to defend themselves with. Players will have to be strategic and mindful of their surroundings and use the tools provided to ensure rooms are safe before and during entry. They also go on to note that the SWAT will drop chem lights in cleared rooms, make arrests, and collect evidence in their vicinity upon command if the area is clear. So really, if you played any of the SWAT games, SWAT 3, SWAT 4, you're pretty much going to know what's going on with this game, which is great, because this game really is an homage to SWAT. But what's also cool is they have suspect AI things going on, as well as the civilian AI. The civilian AI has been programmed to dynamically seek cover during gunfights, or get completely freaked out and start running in just random directions until they can find something for cover. Keeping control of the room is going to be extremely important in this game, as you can tell. They go on to say, as is standard with any police tactical shooter, the player's team can also employ breaching methods such as C2 charges or door rams, as well as deploy grenades into rooms to clear it before entry. SWAT will also start off in a stealth mode, where the rule of engagement is shifted to force them to call contacts to the leader before engagement. The officer will keep their voices low in this state to ensure that they're not heard. They'll also be less likely to initiate combat unless put into immediate danger. During combat, the team will shift to dynamic mode, where the team will become more likely to engage targets if seen, and take more aggressive angles. This mode can also be employed immediately at the element leader's command. Now, if you guys have seen the one SWAT 3 video I posted a little while back, you'll know that there's a scene in it where we open the door while we're still in stealth mode. An enemy is standing right there, or a suspect with a AK or something. He shoots my officer in the chest, like point blank, as we're trying to get a good angle on the room. He goes down. I scream out, "Go dynamic." My team instantly stops what they were doing with the door clearing and the mirroring and all the stealthy stuff, pull out their weapons, and basically light the guy up. It was one of the coolest moments ever. And it's also what happens in SWAT 4 as well. However, I feel like it was just really cool in SWAT 3 how it was handled. But yeah, I cannot wait to see how that works in this game. That's my favorite part of these SWAT games. It's like that transition from the stealth-based rules of engagement where you're calling targets, you know, trying to non-lethal everything, keep everyone quiet, you know, put your hostages in less danger, all that kind of stuff. And then the second things just, you know, switch on and everyone goes dynamic, it's just like heart-poundingly cool. They go on to say, a new feature we've added to Ready or Not is the inclusion of go codes. Players can separate their element into blue and red teams, order them to take different entry points into a room or rooms, and then initiate the breach as the element known as gold. The breach can be initiated on a single group as well, allowing the remainder of the unit to cover a different location, such as hallways or exits. This is also very reminiscent of SWAT, in that you had a blue and red team, and then if you wanted them to work together, they were known as Gold Team. Each team was 2-man, and you could have them do different things. For example, normally I'd put like blue team on the door entry, and then red team to cover a hallway that was overlooking the door entry location, so that way if someone tried to flank around us while we were mid-breach, we'd have someone to mop up the stragglers. And then finally they say something about a sniper team and their ballistic systems, but a lot of these things are quite heavily work in progress, so perhaps it'd be best for them to wait for the Ready or Not gameplay trailer that's going to hopefully be coming, you know, in a month or so. Oh, before I forget, they also talk about their characters. They say, you may have noticed on our Instagram a bunch of new images showcasing our SWAT officers and suspect characters for multiplayer. With advice from real SWAT units, we've developed a new, much more optimized officer with all the gear you could expect modern SWAT to carry. Our PvP suspects have also been developed with a close attention to their kit and wear. Loosely based off the images of masked IRA forces, our counter-operator to the police is a part of a rogue paramilitary organization with sinister motives. Alright, so that was the Ready or Not dev blog called Going Dynamic in a nutshell. There's a lot of stuff there, and I didn't even cover it all. There's a few more things. I'll leave a link to it in the description for you guys to read yourself. But I just wanted to go ahead and just talk about one or two things I found pretty cool and pretty interesting as a discussion point. First of all, my only real concern right now is the game going to run well. I mean, my computer isn't the best, so I'd really like to actually be able to play this game. Squad also runs on Unreal Engine 4, but playing that game has been a nightmare for me on this PC. I've basically never gotten the game to run at a smooth and playable frame rate since release. Only just recently they've made it where I can play it around 30 frames at a semi-decent resolution, and even if I turn settings up or down, it doesn't make a difference. So yeah, that kind of sucks, and that's always left a really weird invitation on me for Unreal Engine 4. However, this game's going to be more close quarters based, so I have a good feeling about it that it will run pretty well, assuming there's no like massive environments, which, knowing these type of games, there really shouldn't be that many of. Honestly, Ready or Not looks to be the future of our tactical shooter genre. If you are into tactical shooters, you should be supporting this game. I mean, if you don't like it, that's fine. But if you're into the genre, and even if you don't like it, I think you should at least, you know, talk to people about it. Get the word out, because I think the tactical shooter genre really got revived thanks to Rainbow Six Siege. And even though that game is not very tactical, as much as I would like it to be, especially in the, you know, cooperative stuff, at least it's gotten people interested in the genre, at least that little bit. And this game could be that big revolutionary step we need to put more eyeballs on the genre and hopefully get more development going and competition started again. If you missed the days of old where Rainbow Six Siege and SWAT ruled the roost, Ready or Not is going to be right up your alley, hopefully, and hopefully it's good. And yeah, that's all I got to say about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you next time. Stay subscribed for some more Ready or Not news. I am very, very interested in this game, and I'm going to be covering it at every step along the way. So, thank you guys, and I'll talk to you next time. Peace out.